Hi everybody and welcome back to DITV. I'm Bob Dignan and I'm sitting down with Dr. Paul Nussbaum, and he gave the keynote address last night at the opening ceremonies. And thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great to be here, Bob. Good to see you again. We saw each other last night.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, but I'd like to know a little bit more about what you were talking about, what you do. So what do you do? I mean, you're invited here as a VIP and you gave the speech, but what it is that you do?
Well, by training, I'm a neuropsychologist, which, as I tell people, that's a fancy way of saying I went to school way too long. But seriously, I've always had an interest in the brain. So I come out of a kind of a medical background, if you will, where I'm a clinical psychologist by training. And clinically, I see patients who have struggles with their brain. So diseases such as Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, unfortunately. So many families know about these on a personal level. So that's kind of, technically that's my job. What I've tried to use that expertise to do is something I think fascinating and fun, which is to take that information and teach as many people as I can who are not in the medical field about this miracle that is the human brain and what we know today that we can do to keep it healthy, regardless of your age.
So last night in your keynote speech, you mentioned a couple of areas in which you can exercise your brain, and one of them you said really integrated with DI. So I'm wondering, what are some of the things that you're seeing here being at global finals that really helps stimulate the brain?
Well, number one, when you walk into a DI event like this, you immediately feel the energy, and you immediately sense the innovation. Kids of all ages critically thinking and problem solving. And for my world, I know that that's really a stimulation of the front part of our brain, which is really one of the most important parts of our brain because it tells the rest of the brain what to do. So words like innovation and critical thinking and problem solving, which are so important to DI, are wonderful because they're really nurturing that sophisticated part of our brain, the frontal lobe. So what's going on here is really an application of what I was talking about, really essentially humans walking around, stimulating their brain and making their brains healthier than when they got here.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, and this is your first time. What kinds of things have you been seeing? Have you been talking with teams and interacting with them? Or?
This is my first time, so I'm really new. I'm walking around like a kid in a candy store, so to speak, and I've been talking to a lot of kids. And the really cool thing is a lot of kids are coming up to me, looking me square in the eyes, shaking my hand, introducing themselves, telling me where they're from. I've been to a challenge today where essentially the goal was to wrap a water balloon, which was going to fall upon rock so that it doesn't burst. And think about all of the innovation that you have to come up with to fix that. I had a wonderful tour of the brain health exhibit here. Some wonderful actors and actresses, about 50 kids at a time go through this, and we go through the 5 stations of socialization, physical activity, nutrition, mental stimulation, and spirituality. Those 5 areas so important to brain health. And I had my headset on and I was going through it and I was dancing, I was doing all the things we talked about last night that are good for the brain. Had a wonderful book signing, getting to meet people from all across the world. DI is not just for the United States of America. We all need to recognize there are brains outside of the United States of America and kids out there doing great things. So this has really been an international experience. Wonderful.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, Bob, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the week.
Thank you very much.
All right, stay tuned for more DITV.